Have you ever stopped to think that some of the most trivial things we do daily might actually be in complete disagreement with biblical teachings? What if these seemingly harmless actions are pulling us away from the path of redemption? Today, we are going to unveil 7 things that the Bible prohibits, which you might unknowingly do every day. Get ready, because what you are about to discover may completely change the way you view your own life. Are these practices merely norms from a distant time, or do they carry spiritual meanings that still resonate today? Stay with us and find out. 1. The first prohibition takes us directly to the Old Testament, in the book of Leviticus, where it is written, "Do not cut the sides of your hair or trim the edges of your beard." Leviticus chapter 19 verse 27. This commandment was given to the Israelites as part of the Mosaic laws. But what was the true purpose behind it? For the Jews of that time, hair and beards held meaning far beyond aesthetics. They were considered symbols of strength, virility, and, most importantly, spiritual connection. But what if these restrictions weren't merely a matter of cultural distinction? Some say that hair acts as a kind of spiritual antenna, capturing energies and vibrations from the environment. Could it be that by cutting or trimming hair in certain ways, we are unknowingly severing our connection with the divine? Think about that the next time you visit the barber or hairdresser. There might be more at stake than just a new look. 2. Do you enjoy seafood? Shrimp, lobsters, crabs, delicious treats found on tables around the world. But did you know that, according to the Bible, consuming these foods is strictly prohibited? In Leviticus chapter 11 verse 10, it is clear, "But all creatures in the seas or streams that do not have fins and scales, whether among all the swarming things or among all the other living creatures in the water, you are to regard as unclean." But why this specific restriction? Scholars point out that these prohibitions were meant to maintain the purity of the people of Israel. However, there are theories that go further. Some spiritual traditions believe that certain foods carry impure energies, capable of misaligning our energetic fields and weakening our spirits. Could seafood be an entryway for negative spiritual influences? 3. In the same book of Leviticus, we find another intriguing prohibition. Do not wear clothing woven of 2 kinds of material. Leviticus chapter 19 verse 19. Additionally, there is a prohibition against the breeding of different species of animals. At first glance, it may seem like a strange rule, but what's really at stake here? For the ancient Israelites, these prohibitions symbolized purity and divine order. Keeping species and materials separate was a way of preserving God's original creation, without mixtures that could deviate from the divine plan. But what if these laws are also warning us about the consequences of manipulating nature? Today, genetic crossings and synthetic fabrics are common, but are we playing God? Could these mixtures, in some way, be affecting the balance of our world, both physically and spiritually? Reflect. The next time you wear a piece of clothing or see a new species developed in a laboratory, think about what the Bible had to say about it. 4. Have you ever felt the temptation to consult a fortune teller, read your horoscope, or even try to communicate with someone who has passed away? The Bible strongly warns against such practices. In Leviticus chapter 19 verse 31, it is written, "Do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritists, for you will be defiled by them." But why such a severe prohibition? The answer may lie in the spiritual doors these practices can open. Necromancy and divination were seen as forms of idolatry, diverting devotion from the true God of Israel. But there's more. Many believe that attempting to communicate with the dead or seek forbidden knowledge risks attracting dark forces, entities that can manipulate and lead us down dangerous paths. Are we ready to face what might be on the other side? Or is it safer to keep these doors closed? 5. How many times have we caught ourselves commenting on someone's life, perhaps not realizing the harm those words can cause? In Leviticus chapter 19 verse 16, it is written, "Do not go about spreading slander among your people." Gossip and false testimony are seen as grave sins in the Bible, but why? Words have power, and the Bible teaches us that using this power to destroy someone's reputation or life is a direct affront to God's commandments. Additionally, gossip or lying creates a chain of negativity that can come back to us in unexpected ways. Some even believe that gossip can attract negative spirits, feeding off the discord we create. 6. We now come to one of the most controversial and perhaps most challenging prohibitions. The Bible warns against sexual immorality, and many interpret this as a condemnation of masturbation. In 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verses 18 to 20, Paul tells us, "Flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body, but whoever sins sexually, sins against their own body." For many, masturbation is seen as something natural, especially in young people discovering their bodies. But is there a spiritual price to pay for this practice? Some religious leaders believe that masturbation can weaken the purity of the soul and open the door to addictions and hedonistic behaviors. Additionally, by focusing so much on physical pleasure, are we neglecting our spiritual connection? This is a question that each of us must reflect upon deeply. Could the pursuit of immediate pleasure be pulling us away from the divine purpose for our lives? 7. Finally, we arrive at perhaps the most ignored prohibition today, the Sabbath rest. In Exodus chapter 31 verse 15, we read, "Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day is to be put to death." This rule was one of the most important for the Israelites, a commandment that symbolized the covenant between God and his people. But why is resting on the Sabbath so crucial? Some believe that this commandment is not just about physical rest but about spiritual rest. The Sabbath was a holy day, reserved for connection with God and spiritual renewal. By neglecting this day, are we disconnecting ourselves from our Creator and exposing ourselves to negative spiritual influences? Today, many Christians have replaced the Sabbath with Sunday, but do we still keep the spirit of this commandment? And you, can you truly rest and connect with the divine, or are you letting worldly concerns take over this sacred day? And so, do you follow all these precepts? Did you know them all? Perhaps, without realizing it, you are practicing some of these things every day. The Bible is full of teachings that we often forget or ignore, but can we afford to continue ignoring them? Leave your reflections in the comments and tell us which of these prohibitions surprised you the most. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because in the next video, we will explore one of the deepest and scariest mysteries. What is the true feeling of dying? Get ready, because the truth may be more shocking than you imagine. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay vigilant and curious. After all, what is beyond the Bible might be exactly what you never expected to find.